It's the day of game threes. We've got 3 games today in the NHL and 3 game threes. Canucks, Preds, Oilers, Kings, and the Jets taking on the Colorado Avalanche. And of course, the venues have changed here, Carm. And obviously the big story surrounding the opening series will break down. Thatcher Demko, a report has come out that he is not only out for the whole first round, he may be out for the entire playoffs, Carm. What are your thoughts here? Game 3, Vancouver and Nashville.
Yeah, it's a bad situation for the Canucks to be in. They had such a great season. Demko gets injured. Casey DeSmith has to come in, played a slew of games. He got them over the hump. They held on and clinched that number 1 seed in the division. But it's you got to feel bad for Canuck fans. And I'm not saying the series is over by any means. Casey DeSmith can play well, but he was fighting the puck in that last game. The Preds were the play in that game at good plus money, but it's now pretty much a coin flip here, minus 110 both ways. There's still plenty of talent on this Vancouver team, Andrew. It's just a matter of what Vancouver team shows up tonight. Are they going to play a defensive style hockey? Because there weren't a lot of shots on goal in the last game. I think combined in that game, in that 4-1 game, I think it was 34 combined shots. I think it was 18-16 were the shots on goal for, I believe, for Nashville in that one. Does Tocchet set this team up where they play, something almost like that 1-3-1, where they just try and clog up the middle of the ice? They're just not that team. Changing your tactics because of a goalie, Andrew, I just can't see it happening. I think they just need to be better in front of the goal and give DeSmith a shot. I'm not saying he's a huge drop-off, but if you had to choose between having betting on Vancouver and having Thatcher Demko in goal or Casey DeSmith, you're always going to take Thatcher Demko. He had such a fantastic season this year. Andrew, I looked at this one and, I'm gravitating to the total on this one. And one of the reasons why is I think there's going to be goals in this one. I think first game 3 in Smashville in front of their fans, they come home 1-1. You can look at this as, could this possibly be like one of those zigzag type series? And we had some numbers on it, but we won't have them up on the show. Ralph Michaels will put some zigzags. We'll put them up for the after we're like 4 games into the series. So on Monday, we'll revamp those numbers. But you have to figure Vancouver's got to be better than they were in game 2 of that series. And with such, you can look at the team totals for these two. Andrew, I think I saw the 2.5s for each team. I'm just going to bring them up real quickly. I believe the 2.5s for these teams are in that 148, 150 range. If I'm correct, it's 145 for the Vancouver Canucks over 2.5, 165 now for Nashville. That's gotten a bit of money because that team total this morning was at minus 250. So it's already gone up 15 cents on Nashville, as has the price. I'm seeing at DK is now 115 on Nashville from the 110. I would look at the Canucks team total here. I think they have a lot of offensive weapons on this team. Getting to 3 in a game that you think is going to be a high scoring game is highly possible. I didn't think the Tampa game yesterday, I didn't think either team would get to 3. And look at that one, 5-3 final in that one. I'm going to go team total here for Vancouver. I just don't see them rolling over and playing dead because Thatcher Demko's out. I hope that rumor isn't true. I hope that report isn't true. Would love to see him back. Vancouver Canucks fans deserve better than to go out this way, and that's if they were to go out. Plus, I have a futures bet on Vancouver, so to win the series. So I really want him back. A little bias there for the Friday puck time crowd in our chat, Andrew. So give me the Vancouver team total, and then of course a lean to the over.
I like that way of playing it, Carm. I think it's a good opportunity for it, and I've been talking about it on every show we've done here. I truly believe that the games that the Canucks are successful in, they're going to have to score 4 goals. I do think that the Predators, they're a team that You told me tonight's game went under the posted total. I might say, well, did the Predators win? But if it goes over, I'd be a lot more confident in the Canucks. I think there's definitely some correlation here between the two things and between the side and total with these clubs. Carm, regular season record for DeSmith: 12-9-6, 896 save percentage, 2.89 goals against average. It reminds me of baseball. Some pitchers that just don't get run support from their team when they go out there. They could give up 3 earned runs, and their team only scores 2 runs for them, right? They have a decent game. And that's kind of what seems to be the case sometimes for DeSmith. Like, it's hard to actually make this a part of your handicap, but when you keep looking at it, it's like, is this team offensively just not the same with him out there? And I know it sounds weird, but overall, look at his numbers, right? 2.89 goals against average. That's pretty respectable. But they have a 12-9-6 record with him. That's, I think, for how good this Vancouver team was this season, not the best record on the year. And as you mentioned there, Carm, we look at the last game, we break down some of the numbers. They lose 4-1, right? The Vancouver Canucks had 18 shots on goal. They went 0 for 4 on the power play, as did the Nashville Predators. They had 7 giveaways, didn't take care of the puck in their own end. I mean, it was an absolutely horrible game for the Vancouver Canucks. And that's the thing, is that I have a knack for defending goaltenders, and I'm not sure why. But there's some games where you can say, you know what, that was a goalie's fault. You look at Ilya Sorokin last night for the Islanders. I mean, hey, this guy, he gets put back into the series, Carm, and he looked awful. I can definitely say that, but I'm not going to peg the last loss on the Vancouver Canucks on DeSmith, because guess what? The team scored 1 goal. And so for me, when I look at this game a little bit, I think that I agree with you. Even though there weren't that many shots, 18-17, this to me actually seems like an over tonight. And I think that when you look at the power plays, both teams are combined 0 for 8, which are usually pretty good on the power play, these teams. But the ironic part is, during the regular season, Vancouver, one of the top teams as far as shooting percentage. Another team that was up there in shooting percentage? The Nashville Predators. It means that they don't take a lot of shots, but the ones they do take are usually pretty dangerous. So it brings me over to these shots on goal props, right? It's always fun to bet the overs, but how about some unders? Ryan O'Reilly, under 1.5 shots on goal, 5 straight games, plus 110. Take a look at Quinn Hughes, under 2.5 shots on goal, minus 130, 4 of his last 5 games. Philip Forsberg, he's a good star player there for Nashville, but his number, Carm, is 4.5. So if I told you a team only got 16 shots in a game, and this guy's prop is under over 4.5 shots, you probably want to bet the under, right?
Yeah. Andrew, I was looking at some of the props in this one, and I just couldn't find anything in this game that I wanted to take. There was actually a couple that I was looking at. I'm like, maybe I should take the unders on some of these shot props, because just based on the last one, you look at case in point, like JT Miller, he's at 2.5 minus 115. It's actually gone down. He was at 2.5 minus 120. The under was minus 210. It's now minus 150 or minus 110. It's now minus 115 on the under as well too. And you look at his shot props, and you look at, even the last 10 or 11 games, and there just aren't enough numbers to support taking the over. It doesn't mean he's not going to get there tonight. It just, if you're going to make a bet, you want some numbers to support it. In the next game, I'll talk about a specific player who it supports. It's the thing of, Andrew, you look at the first couple games. This change in venue sometimes is everything. Case in point, and you're okay, because I'm referencing the change, moving to Smashville for this game. You look at I think it was 2021. Nashville played the Carolina Hurricanes. 5-2 and 3-0 were the scores in Carolina. Then they go to Nashville, and there's just two unbelievably fun games to watch. 5-4 and 4-3. Nashville wins both games. That series was absolutely incredible, that series against Carolina that season. And it's the change in venue sometimes can just bring out goals. It's a different venue, different fan base, a different feeling to the games. We'll see what happens tonight if that transpires. But I can see both teams scoring and both teams going over that 2.5 total. I just don't want to lay 165 on Nashville. But that's why I said I'm leaning to the over on this one.
And I got to give you credit, Carm, because the other night when you cashed your 5% ticket on the full game over on the Oilers and Kings game, you gave us a winner on the Kings team total here on the show. So you made the clients happy, the viewers happy. And that's what I like too sometimes is the underdog. You might not know if they're going to win the game, but you can still think they're going to have a good offensive game. And that's what's nice about it is, the Kings did end up actually having success in that game. But overall, what did you cash? I think you cashed your over 2.5, 30 minutes into the game. So those team totals are nice. And I'll remind people again, it's not just good to look at team totals for the favorites. You can look at team totals for the underdogs as well. And it's just so nice to try and just reach a certain benchmark, reach a certain number of goals versus, trying to actually pick the team that's going to end up winning the entire game. But we got a good crew of guys here in the live chat right now, Carm. And guys, if you're watching on Instagram, Shorts, full YouTube, comment below. Let us know in the comment section any player, game in particular you want us to talk about. Just the two of us. So it's a lot more of a back and forth today here. It's a Friday. Hopefully we can make some money tonight, guys, in the NHL. And there's also a stacked card tomorrow. And maybe Carmen and I will do some content tomorrow as well. We'll see. Try and get some stuff out there for Saturday. Hey, Carm?
Yeah, definitely, Andrew. So last night, I didn't get a chance to watch the games because for the most part, because I had to go out. It was a family dinner. We all got together at one of those Brazilian steakhouses, and they're starting to serve the food. And I have my phone on my chair below me, below the table, and I got the Carolina game on. So uh, as they carved up some of the meat and stuff, I go to my brother. I go, hey, let's just take a second to pray here. He's like, what? I go, just put your head down for a second. So they put their heads down, and then my brother's like, you're watching the game, aren't you? Carolina was on the power play, and I wanted to, so I had to look down. I didn't want to make it look obvious. So I'm watching the game between my legs at a Brazilian steakhouse. That's how I watched the Carolina game yesterday against the New York Islanders. Sometimes the DGen in you has to come out, and you've got to see the way a game is going. So that was my customer appreciation play, Andrew. So the Canes in regulation, I'm glad it got there because a lot of people took part in that one. So we got the win there. Speaking
A lot
of
of people.
wins, Andrew, go ahead.
Sorry, Carm, but it's a good segue. A lot of people appreciated it, and Eric Nolan in the YouTube Shorts live chat, he appreciated you. He said, "Thanks for the win, Carmichael." So there you go, Carm. Eric Nolan was on there with you with the Customer Appreciation Day. He thanks you, and he cashed that ticket. And if I was a very angry person, which I try to stay very zen, Carm, I would have lost about every TV in my house last night because I had the over 5.5 in that game. And, we had five goals after, 45 minutes of hockey, and I couldn't get one more goal. That was really, really tricky for me, man. I was not happy with it. But good news is I cashed my last 5% ticket, and I've got a big 5% play lined up for tomorrow in the NHL. So we'll try and get back on track and keep hitting those big plays. But man, that was frustrating for me, Carm. I thought that was going to be a surefire winner after the Islanders got a few goals for me.
Yeah, sometimes you with these totals, guys, you live and die on this, the empty netter. You always have it in your back pocket in a 1-goal game or even a 2-goal game. You know what I mean? If you're on 6.5 and it's 4-2, you know that they're going to pull the goalie with 5 minutes left. John Cooper pulls his goalie with 7 minutes left. Patrick Waugh just couldn't get him out of the net in that game. Varlamov, he couldn't get him out of the net. Every time he creeped up, the Canes got it back over the blue line into center ice, and he had to keep getting back in. And those are the frustrating ones. It's good if you have the under, but when you have the over, you want to see ozone possession from the team pulling the goalie and that guy out of there, so you have a full 2 minutes. And there were nowhere close to getting the full 2 minutes. So I feel the pain, Andrew. Best Buy has my credit card on file for remotes because I've gone through quite a few of them throughout this NHL season.
Oh man, it's frustrating, but we've got so many games to go, including game 3 at crypto.com arena between the LA Kings and the Edmonton Oilers. Kings responded, Carm. They battled back, and it just goes to show from one game to the next, no matter what the score line is in game 1, game 2, you got to go back out there and battle. And I really thought the LA Kings couldn't have success if they were trading goals with the Edmonton Oilers, and boy, did they look strong. They played well, Carm. I'm sure it's you're playing with fire if you try and win a game 5-4, against this Edmonton Oilers team. But they played extremely well. And how about the game from Adrian Kempe now with 3 goals on the playoffs, a lot of shots for him throughout this series so far. The big names step up. And as we always say, this Kings team is deep down the middle, a lot of center depth, and now they're back at home and get that last change. What are your thoughts on this game 3 here, Carm?
Andrew, this is one of those ones where, the final score of that game with the Kings winning just does not compute well when you look at like analytics of the game. It's one of those ones where sometimes you watch a game, you're like, how did this team not win? And that essentially is what the Oilers were in that game. You look at them, shots on goal, not as important when you're looking at analytics, because you can win with 12, 15 shots on goal sometimes, but 31-26, fairly close. You look at scoring chances, 37-25 in Edmonton's favor. High danger chances, 17-8. XG created, 3.23 to 2.26 for the Oilers. Similar numbers in game 1, and the Oilers won that game 7-4. They lose this one 5-4. It is one of those ones where it's almost like the misclick when you're playing poker. You make a mistake. This is one of those ones where I think the Oilers misclicked. I'm going to draw a line through it. I'm going to come back with the Oilers. I think the Oilers are one of the best teams, if not the best team in the NHL. And they proved it from that coaching change onwards. They were the best team. Now, whether you want to believe it or not, you can make comparisons. You can talk about forwards. You can talk about defense. You can say they're not going to win a series with Stuart Skinner or Picard in goal, but Skinner's been good all season long. We have to give him a break. You got to give him a break. You have to. Talbot hasn't been any more impressive for the LA Kings. So this is one where the goalies have probably been even. I'm going to go with the better talent, and I want the team with the better player. And Connor McDavid is the best player on the ice in this series. So I would lean to the Oilers here, Andrew. The line's creeping up to -140. The total, I have no feeling for the total. It's at 6.5. And I loved it at 6. And I thought that was a steal, and that's why I put that play out for clients. But at 6.5, I don't want to touch it. It's again venue switch. The LA Kings now get the last change, so they can match up their lines to Edmonton's first and second lines. So the advantage there. Here's a player prop for you, Andrew. Victor Arvidsson over 2.5 shots. It's a little juicy. -150. 11-2 run for him, and on the season 15-4. And you got to look at 15-4. It's only 19 games, but he's gone over his number in 15 of them. And the games early on, he wasn't getting a lot of ice time. So as he started to get more ice time, you look at the numbers, and it's hard to discount an 11-2 run on shot props or 15-4 on the season. Even if you're laying 150 juice, you're making money. on that prop bet. So that's one I would play tonight. Victor Arvidsson over 2.5 shots on goal, -150.
I like it. He's a shooter. He's a shooter. He's one of those guys that when he gets the puck, he's not looking to pass it back to you. he's not the playmaker on the team. That's for sure. He's the shooter. And those are the guys you want to be looking for when you look to make those bets. Carm, I'm going to make the bold move here. You got to insert that funny GIF that we post on Twitter there, the bold move, because I'm going to take the under in this one here. We talk about changing venues. We talk about how different teams play at home. I know based on what we saw in game 1, based on what we saw in game 2, people think that for 6 or 7 games, we're going to see just absolute goal fests. But I do think that things slow down. And again, the fact the LA Kings won that game, to me, is still a complete shock. And they were winning the games throughout, but they let the lead slip, let the lead slip, let the lead slip. And if they do get the lead tonight, I think having that matchup advantage, having the last change, being at home, having 2 games now to watch film, they are going to be able to shut things down. I liked some quotes I saw from Drew Doughty where he simply was just not happy about the win. He was almost like he was disgusted by how they won that game. These guys know, Carm, that they cannot compete. You said it. Edmonton has the best players. They've got the superstars. They have the goal scorers. And you can't let Edmonton get to the power play. Easier said than done. But under 6.5 to me, and we could see a 4-1 win for the Oilers. We could see a 3-2 win for the LA Kings. But getting to 7 goals, in 3 straight playoff games here, I think some things change. And you look at it, and a lot of times when you get to a new venue, you do that home and home switch. The type of hockey you play changes. And let's not forget, this is an Edmonton Oilers team. When they went on that huge run, when they fired their coach, what was the main key in that huge run they were on? Unders. That team, when they got going, it was the actual defensive hockey. So we'll see if Zach Hyman can keep scoring every single game and these guys can keep having the games that they're having. But I'm going to look towards the under here in this one, Carm. Honorable shout out to the guy that Andy Lang and I have been fading for quite some time now, Evander Kane. He continues to struggle. They're scoring goals, but he's not finding the score sheet. If you're betting anything on him, you want to be betting over on hits, because that's pretty much the best he's doing out there, is going out there and hitting guys quite a bit. And a good one to look at as well would probably be the under on points for a guy like Philip Deneau. And you look back, and I know him very well because he was a former Canadiens player. And one thing he's out there to do, Carm, is shut down the top guys on the other team. He's not out there to score goals. He's out there as a forward to play defense. He gets the matchups against the toughest forwards, which is Connor McDavid, which is all the tough guys there on the Oilers. So I don't think he's being put in positions to succeed offensively. So I think under a point, half a point for Deneau is a good prop. But overall, I'm going to hold my breath for 60 minutes. So I'm probably going to pass out about 5 minutes in or probably a minute in and take the under 6.5 here.
Yeah. Why his lips are turning blue? What's wrong with this guy? Breathe, Andrew, breathe. Listen, I get it. I wish seedings were different, and I wish the way they set this up was different. So we don't see the same teams playing each other in the first round of the playoffs. Like, the Kings, and the Oilers, the Bruins and the Leafs. I'd rather see like at least bring back the 1 versus 8, 2 versus 7, 3 versus 6, so on and so forth. And maybe we see some different pairings. Or they're never going to go back to the old school one of 1 versus 16, 2 versus 15, because it's made for TV, all the travel and everything else. Andrew, you look at, I talked about Skinner. These are Skinner's numbers against the LA Kings this season. Now, on the road, first of all, if you look at his home and away splits, Skinner was on the road. He was 13-10, 13-10-2 with a 2.80 goals against average. Which isn't bad. Against the LA Kings, he's 3-1, 936 save percentage, 1.99 goals against average. That's pretty damn good, against the LA Kings. But we've always talked about, or I have always talked about during the season, that the LA Kings were playing some very good defense. They just couldn't score enough goals. They found enough goals in this last game, getting 5. We'll see whether they manage that tonight or not. I'd probably be with you on the under, but I would love nothing better than a huge Oilers victory. So I'm staying off the total.
And, you know, for people out there right now, Carm, looking at some of the playoff series prices, if you want to get the Hurricanes minus 8,000, good day to do that. But in all seriousness here, taking a look at the Oilers series, they're minus 180, LA Kings plus 155 in this one. So you're getting some relatively same prices here on that one. And as far as the game we're about to talk to right now, Colorado versus Winnipeg, it's actually a lot different than it was at the start of the series. And I think that's because we're heading back to Colorado now. We're seeing Colorado minus 160, Winnipeg plus 140. So guys, if you're watching this on Shorts, Facebook, Instagram, full on YouTube, comment below what you think the best bet to make right now, or which team that's down in their series is worthy of taking a look at and betting on, because it's interesting to look at some of these series prices here, Carm. But Colorado and Winnipeg, what are your thoughts on this one? I mean, we keep talking about the venue change, the series shifting spots here. The whiteout, they went 1-1, this Winnipeg team. Now they got to go to Colorado, where Colorado has been so dominant all year long. You did a great job of informing me all season on PuckTime about certain teams' home and road splits. Colorado were a great team all year at home, Carm.
Andrew, they were. This is a good series. It's tied at 1. I don't think we've seen the best out of either team yet. You looked at that first game, and 7-6. You're never going to expect these teams to play another 7-6 game. Hellebuck didn't look good in that one, but he got the win despite allowing 6 goals. They got to him in the second game for 5 goals. So a lot has been made of the Colorado goalie, but no one is talking about Winnipeg's goalie. Georgiev, sure, he allowed 7 in the first one. He allowed just a couple in the second one, and he was on. He was on in the second game. It is why I think this series is going to return, even though it's in Colorado now. It's going to return to what I think people should have been expecting, which is lower scoring games in this series. And that's even with a high potent offense like the Avs have. Winnipeg was one of the best defensive teams, if not the best defensive team all season long. And this is one of the reasons why I like the under in this one. It's at 6.5. It opened, this one opened at 6.5, but it was juiced to the over, and money's been coming in on the under. It's going to stay at 6.5. I can't see it going to 6. The last time these teams, Andrew, played in Colorado, it was a 7-0 victory, and it wasn't for Colorado. It was for Winnipeg. I'm sure the Avs have not forgotten that one. They were blown out of the water. They were out of it in the first period, if I remember correctly. They might have been down 3 or 4-0 in that period. It just got out of control that game. So they're back home in front of they've got home ice. Game 3 is so important because you want to maintain home ice, put the pressure, all the pressure on the other team to have to win game 4. Do I want to lay $1.70 on the Avs? I'd probably do what I mentioned doing before with with one of the Oiler bets, where you take Colorado, you split a couple units between the Avs, Colorado on the minus 170 line, and you can take the puck line as well too, and you bring that right down to almost like a -1 type of bet, where you're laying about $1.20 in vig. But Avs in the under here, 4-2 final gets the money. How's that?
I like it. And you know what? You're right, Carm. It's going to be fresh on the minds of the Avalanche players. I know it's the playoffs, but the regular season, man, the last time they met there, it wasn't pretty. It definitely was not that solid of a game for the Avalanche, to say the least. They won't forget about it. A couple quick props to look at here. And what a change in this one. The last time I spoke about Terry Lehkonen over 2.5 shots on goal, he was plus 135. I was happy I gave that one out on PuckTime. He's now minus 105. So guys, if you missed the last one, that's how these books, they react, right? We saw 7 shots from him in game 1. We saw 5 shots in game 2. And if it ain't broke, we're not going to try and fix it. So we're going to go Artturi Lehkonen over 2.5. They changed the price, but it's still worthy of a bet, in my opinion, at minus 105 for him. What's the deal here, guys? Well, everyone talks about McKinnon, Rantanen, Nichushkin, Makar. For some reason, nobody really wants to show love to Artturi Lehkonen, a guy that, let's be real here, most of his goals and most of his shots, they're not the fanciest of plays. They're not going to be the highlight reel plays. But when you're talking about a shots on goal prop, you just want a guy with volume, a guy that's consistently shooting. And that's what he's doing there, Carm. So I'll look at Artturi Lehkonen over for him. And have you noticed, Carm, this series has been very chalky as far as the goal scorers. So besides Nathan McKinnon, everybody else in this series is plus money. Mark Scheifele plus 195. Kyle Connor plus 170, Mikko Rantanen, Val Nichushkin, all these guys are plus money. 2 guys I like tonight. One guy, Nikolai Ehlers, plus 255. And as far as the Colorado Avalanche are concerned, Casey Middlestat plus 330. Plus 330 for a guy on the second line. To me, that's ridiculous. I mean, you talk about how it's been pretty top heavy, but then you look at it, he's on the top pairings. He's on the top 6 here. And one thing I've been looking at more these days is that when you bet player point props, most of the time you're betting minus money, right? So if you go 1-1, you lose money. 2-2, you lose money. Sometimes you go 2-1, you're barely making any money. If you bet goal scoring props, your percentage that you have to hit is a lot lower than the percent you have to hit when you're betting on guys that are minus 120 and 130. So taking a look at some of these guys, I think Ehlers, Middlestat, Kyle Connor are certainly worthy of taking a look at. As far as the game here, I lean towards the under, Carm. That's what I'm thinking. I lean towards the under, but you're right. Everyone's talking about Alexander Georgiev. No one's really talking about Hellebuck struggling in this series as well, struggling overall in the playoffs. And that's why people better stop comparing Hellebuck and Carey Price, because they're not nearly the same guy, not nearly on the same level. Carey Price,
boy.
he is
Dear.
the playoff guy, Carm. You got to get his name out of the conversation with the Canadian goalies there. But over to you, Carm. You've got some stuff to mention as far as the other games concerned.
Yeah, no, Andrew, one player prop I'm going to take in this one. I played it in the last game, game 2 of this series. It didn't get there, but it was the Nate McKinnon points over 1.5. He got an assist, or I think a goal and an assist early on. Didn't get another point after that. While they did score 5 goals in the game. I'm going to take the over 1.5 again. I'm just going to go back to the well for another one and see if we can hit on the Nate McKinnon one. I'll probably put that up as a free play on the site and a small client play, 2% play as well too on that one. The Rangers game. We didn't cover the Rangers game on the show. We're only doing 3 games, but I will say this. I expect the Rangers to do the exact same thing that the Carolina Hurricanes did. They're 2 of the best teams. Along with Florida, the 3 best teams in this conference. I expect them to go there, take game 3. Do I want to lay 170? No, I'd probably take them in regulation. You can get them at minus 105 to get the job done in 60 minutes. And I'll do that. I think the Capitals are done. This is a series that I said would go 4 or 5 games. And this is the way it looks at worst, the Rangers win 1 of 2 games in Washington, go home and win in game 5. If they win tonight, it's pretty much done. What do you like in this game, Andrew? And then I have a follow-up question on something else with regards to the Canes, but let me get your thoughts on this game.
Harm, I'm not a fan of laying high prices overall, but the NFL draft yesterday kind of inspired me. And if anybody caught Wager Talk today, they heard Teddy talking about some of these massive prices that sometimes might be worth it. And I believe the New York Rangers should be heavier favorites than they are. And I understand a lot of times you change venues. And what's that old expression, Carm? What do they call it? A gentleman's sweep. People are kind of expecting
Yeah.
that to be the case maybe in this one. Um, but I think that minus 175, I would bet the money line on that. I really would. I think the Rangers are outclassing them. There's just way too many guys that are making moves for the Rangers and not enough options for the Washington Capitals. Overall, the wild cards have not looked good in the Eastern Conference, and I don't have faith in them to really get going here. So I think that if you like the Washington Capitals, you bet the under because that's the only way they're going to win. But once they go down, who knows what's going to happen? So I think it's worthy of looking at just taking the money line price, throwing it in a two-teamer if you want something else. Panarin, the bread man, might be a good night for him here, Carm. But other than that, I don't have
Yeah.
much, and that's why we're not really talking about it, man. I think
Yeah.
this game could easily be $2 favorite here for the Rangers.
Yeah, the bread was stale in game two for me. He didn't have any shots on goal in that game. The bread was stale, but I'm fine. I hope he has a good game tonight. You know who needs to have a good game, and maybe with the venue switch and having the last change, Ovechkin. He's had one shot on goal in two
Mm.
games. That's it. One shot on goal, and this is a guy who you expect to get a lot. You know, he gave away a puck in one of those games. I think that turned into a shorthanded goal, I believe. So one shot on goal. That's not what you would expect from Ovechkin through two games. So we'll see what they have tonight. Andrew, when we talk about this gentleman sweep, we've seen this a few times. So Carolina wins game three yesterday. Freddie Anderson has started and won all three games. Do they, in game four, do you just stick to the same recipe of Freddie Anderson, or do you give him a bit of a break and you bring in Kochetkov in goal and start him? Because at worst, and he's been a good goalie this season, at worst, if they were to lose, you come home and you can get the gentleman's sweep at home with Freddie Anderson back in goal. Any thoughts on goaltending?
A big believer in you don't want to get out of your rhythm as a goalie. Like, did you see Jeremy Swayman's comments for the Bruins? As much as he has that whole big hug thing with Allmark and their friends, he wants the net. He wants to stay in. I know Anderson's a little bit older and he's come back from injury, but I feel like you don't want to mess around with things. You want to keep with the same guy. Um, yeah, I think you keep it. I get what you're saying, and I think it could work out for them. But you want to keep rolling. And if there's one team that wouldn't mind getting the sweep as fast as they possibly can and then getting the rest, it's probably Carolina. You know, they're a good team the way they play. I think that which team do you think has a better chance of getting swept, Carm? The Capitals or the Islanders?
I think both. I know it's hard to say. It's easier to say
Yeah.
it's easier to say the Islanders because they're down 3-0 in the series right now,
Oh, right, right,
and the
right. Yeah.
Caps still have a couple of games at home. So I get it, but both teams are just playing head and shoulders above their opponents right now. The Canes are playing extremely well. Those offseason moves and those trade deadline pickups have made this team look good. Now it just depends. Do they look good just because they're playing an Islanders team that don't look good? It's one of those ones when they play a team like Florida or they play a team like the Rangers. Will they look as good? This is what we're about to find out because hey, guess who plays in the if both these teams win their series as they should? Guess who plays each other in the next round? Two teams that could very well or should be playing in the conference finals are going to have to meet in the conference semifinals. Andrew,
Yeah, that those next
Rangers and
rounds
the
are going to
Canes.
be awesome. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. I look forward to it. But obviously, it's still a few games meant to go. Like you said, it's still a few games we can make some money on betting as well. So Guys, we kind of dipped our toes in the water for the Saturday card as well, but hope you guys can make some money all weekend long, and comment below what you like this weekend and what you like tonight in the NHL. Let us know what you're betting on, especially those player props. I always want to know what you guys are making money on, whether it's betting on a player or betting against them. And speaking of Saturday, big 5% play for me coming up on Saturday. It's a great board. I love the card. It's going to be a little quieter for me today in the NHL, but I'll be a lot more active. We cashed the 5% play on the Maple Leafs team total there in game 2. We'll try and cash another 5%er tomorrow in the NHL. Carm, you have a great combo pack going right now for not just hockey, but also some soccer action, as it's going to be a huge summer for you. What's the deal with your great package you got going?
Yeah, first of all, a couple games up tonight in the NHL. You can get those over on my page of WagerTalk. There, I have a client play up for soccer as well too. So anyone who has the 3-day all access or an all access package can get that. Really good roll in April. Soccer is really heating up over 20 units just this month alone. And we're going to roll right into the summer. So Melissa in our office put together this great deal: 4 trophies, 1 package, $2.99. You get the rest of the NHL playoffs, which I think is normally, I think it's on the site for like $2.45. But you're also going to get 2 months of soccer, 2 months of soccer, because we have 3 different tournaments that are going on. We have the Euros 2024. I'm going to be in Vegas, hopefully cheering on the Italian team once again, defending champions. We also, the Copa America, this year it is hosted in the US. Argentina, Brazil, all those teams are coming, and the USA is in it, Canada is in it, Mexico is in it. So it is going to be a fantastic tournament as well too. And then the Leagues Cup, which starts once those 2 tournaments are over. The Leagues Cup takes over, and that's all the Liga MX teams from Mexico and all the MLS teams, again in another World Cup type format. 3 great tournaments plus the NHL one. You get them all for $2.99. It's a great deal. We're going to make some money, so join me on that one.
Carm, I've learned to like European football a hell of a lot more, but it makes me like it a lot more when I'm cashing tickets with you. So I'll be following along with that. Best of luck to you and your clients this weekend, Carm. Guys, hope you enjoyed this week's Puck Time. We'll be back on Monday with another week of great breakdowns, all kinds of picks, props, sides, and totals, and much more. Best of luck. We'll see you next time here on Puck Time.